Well, this is where it all happened, the old Grand Rapids Bookcase and Chair Company on State Street in Hastings, Michigan. When I got out of the Army in the early spring of 1946, March or February it was, I went down there and applied for a job because a few of my old high school chums worked there. And I found a job there working in the cabinet department. And while I was there, I played the piano noons sometimes, and that attracted some of the office girls. But that's how I came to be at the Bookcase.
I graduated from Hastings High School in June of 1948, and Mr. Benke, who was the controller, had asked the commercial teacher, Mrs. Sims, to recommend somebody for a job. So she recommended me, and I went down and had an interview with Ernie Edison, the personnel man, and I was hired, and I graduated on Friday and went to work there on Monday morning in June 1948.
Like I said before, I had a Hudson convertible, and that kind of attracted a little attention of the single girls. And then I played the piano, and that attracted a little attention. And seems though I whistled at Dorothy. And so we kind of eyed each other around there for a couple of months. And when was our first date, Dorothy? You remember?
Yes, March 30th, 1949, and we went to the Old Berry Theater, and there was a movie was Family Honeymoon with Fred McMurray.
I'm glad it wasn't Cheaper by the Dozens. Okay. Then I started going to the Grand Street EUB Church with Dorothy, and we decided to get married. Remember anything about deciding to get married?
We were engaged, it was the end of August in 1949, and we wanted to get married before winter came, and so we ended up setting the date of October 22nd. We were married at the Grand Street UUB Church with Dr. J.F. Hatton performing the ceremony, and he was married 3 days after we were married.
Wow. He followed our advice and got married, huh? Okay. Here's the picture of the wedding party. Who's in that wedding party, Dorothy?
Well, my sister Wanda Colston was my matron of honor, and the bridesmaids were Vonda Webb and Dorothy Bump, who later married brothers, so both their last names are now Cap'n. And for Don, there was his buddy in the Air Force, Jack Heron, was best man, and the ushers was my brother-in-law, Carl Colston, and Don's friend, Herbie Smith.
Okay. Well, as soon as we got married, we got the rice treatment, and then picked up her stuff and headed for New York on our honeymoon. Went to Niagara Falls and New York City, and came back home and began to live together in our first house, which was a rented house, a rented apartment. Where was that at, Dorothy, you remember?
127 East Grand Street. We had the upstairs, and then Lubernickies lived downstairs. That way, it wasn't too far. Don usually had to go to work at 7, and I didn't have to be there at 8, so I usually walked to work from there. And then in the spring of 1950, we bought some land out on Middleville Road on 37 between Hastings and Middleville to build a house.
If I remember right, the number of that was 480 Middleville Road. Was that right?
I think so.
Yes, and then we borrowed Dr. Hatton's little old trailer. Wasn't very big, but we lived in that while we got the house started. We got it up, and
When winter came, by that time I was pregnant with Steve. About the time we'd been married a year, I quit work and we moved into the basement of the house for the winter because it wasn't very warm out in that little trailer.
Okay. So Steve was born, what, January 13th? February 13th.
February 13th, 1951.
1951.
Pennock Hospital, the same place that Don and I were born.
Yes, we're a family born at Pennock Hospital. And while we continued work on the house on through the winter, doing little things inside and finishing up the kitchen and bedrooms upstairs. And so by the time our next child came along, there was a succession of children, 5 to be exact. There was Andrew Frederick Reid, born when, Dorothy?
April 18th, 1954.
And then there was Daniel Charles, born?
April 7th, 58.
And then our first of our girls, which was a proud moment in our lives, Cynthia Ann Reid.
9/12/60.
Okay. And then the last baby girl was Carolyn K. Reid, born
May 23rd, 1964.
very good.
During that time, we took over the skating rink again, and so and we sold it just before Carolyn was born. So when we took it back in '55, why we had just the 2 boys, Steve and Andrew, and then we sold it to Mr. DeMunn in January of '64.
Okay, from 55 to 64, then we ran the skating rink, owned it and ran it. I was out to Thornapple Lake. And during this time our children were growing up, we took many vacations out west, and when Steve was going to college, we went out there to see him graduate and to take him out to get started. And so we made several trips out west, and when Steve was just a child, we went down into Texas and visited some of our relatives in New Mexico and Texas. And then
1965, we took all 5 children, went to the New York World's Fair
oh yeah,
in New York, and also stopped at Niagara Falls. We visited some old neighbors of ours who lived on Long Island, the Kleins. We spent one night with them.
what was their names?
Klein, Robert Klein,
Robert and
Lorena.
Lorena Klein. Yeah, yeah, they lived out on Middleville Road there alongside of us.
And we lived in our house out on Middleville Road from 1950 till we needed a bigger house, and we lived there 17 years, so it was 1967 when we moved to 420 West Center Street. I had begun working at Consumer Power Company, so it was a lot closer for me to go to work, and Carolyn went up and spent the day with Grandpa and Grandma Bauer. And we lived at 420 West Center Street for about 12 years. And it was very convenient because it was close to the schools for the kids.
It was not only good for the children to get to school close, Dorothy to get to her work, but it was good for me. I was still working at the old bookcase company down on West State Street, down where the new bank is, and Wendy's is, and a lot of the new stuff has been moved in, the old bookcase torn down. But I worked there for 30 years. Towards the last, Ed Tudor, who was the engineer, retired. I became chief engineer of the Grand Rapids Bookcase and Chair Company. And I worked there and oversaw the complete maintenance of the factory until 1977, when I had my stroke. and they didn't see fit to let me come back as chief engineer. And so I changed jobs about then, 1978. Oh, in 1978 I went to work for Berry County zoning office, which was where's my little arrow? Which was in right there, which was in the old sheriff's department, jail, right beside the courthouse. Worked there for 10 years. Started out under Winnie Keller. She helped me get the job. And I did zoning work to start with, and building inspector, and had my own office, so not own office, but own desk. I was electrical inspector, inspected all the electrical work in Berry County, for those townships at least that wanted it in cities. And finally did also soil erosion inspection. Had my own little Chevette car. You'll see in a minute. Maybe. There we are, right there. My own little Chevette car in which I did all my inspections of building and zoning and electrical and soil erosion for Berry County. 4 jobs. When I quit, they had 3 guys take over and my place. All righty. Well, let's get back to Dorothy. She worked for Consumers Power, of course, and started up there in that little building right beside the City Hall. Consumers had a store up there to start with. And then she moved down on West State Street down to 118 West State Street. And then moved on down to the Consumers Power building down there on East Court Street. Yeah, Court Street. And then she, here we are at the, and then from there they went out to their new building on East Green Street. And this is open house day there at East Green Street. That was her. She went up in the high-low there.
That's it. I can pick you up a little bit so you can see. There you go. Get right on my knee. There, what do you think about that? The old people down there? You want to get down? Okay. You ready to go back down now? You want to go back down? Okay, here we go.
West Green Street office. She moved to Kalamazoo and worked on Sprinkle Street over there at their big main office over there, and she worked with Lois Bowers there. And Sharon Dickey. And this is the last day of Dorothy's working over there. She retired about a year before I did, and this was the last day of work. And they had open house, and all the girls from the family came. There's Cynthia, and let's see, starting with the right, that's Carolyn, and then Cynthia, and then Dorothy, holding maybe Jessie Capon, I'm not sure. And then there's Joyce Reid, Steve's wife. They had a big to-doing, handing out medals and stuff. It was retirement day or something over there. And so here's her last shot, walking down for the last time down the old parking lot at the Sprinkle Street Consumers Power office. But before that, we moved to 112 West Grant Street, and we used some of the money I got from my stroke to help buy this house at 112 West Grant Street. In 1987, Dorothy retired from Consumers Power, which left her home, and And then in '88, I retired from Berry County zoning. I probably lost weight as I was climbing the stairs over here.
You want this one? It says 100. Mine are like big pictures. You know, we have that? Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Is there a place for cards? How are you, young lady?
I'm just fine.
You staying out of trouble?
Yeah, I'm gonna get out of trouble too. Well, I heard that. Get off the floor. But I wanted to. Yeah, thank you.
Secretary could
Trying to get up here and say. Oh, gee.
his wife proceeded.
Buildings or anything else?
Okay, I'll say the road commission did that.
Hey, John. All right. Where's the man of the year?
Black news, girl.
I got it in the airport.
Classes turn.
Yeah. He's handsome. But that's what over there is. Really, it's her first trip. Those are good pictures.
You can cut it and take a piece.
Those are
You want
pictures. She's waving to you.
Now they say that World Series game saved a lot of money.
That's a beautiful game. Go back for a second. Yeah, sorry. Just kind of pinching or something.
For our 40th wedding anniversary in 1989, our children got together and gave us a trip to Hawaii, where we was on the island of Oahu, and saw the many sights there, and it was very pleasant for us. We had always wanted to go to Hawaii, but never seemed to have the money to go. But Andy had a timeshare condominium, which we used there, and it was very nice. really wouldn't be complete in this video without doing a shot of our favorite dentist, Robert Angus Carey, who used his painless dentist on us, Dorothy and I, and all our 5 children, lo, these many years, and his faithful secretary and wife, Mary Ione Carey, who has bravely sent us out bills and statements, put on our insurance, and watched over us in general and keep our teeth in our head. She did a good job, but Doc hasn't did all that too good a job. We have lost some teeth, yes. So thank you, Robert. Into 92, we took quite a few vacations to Florida, and Texas, and Upper Peninsula, and in 1996, my wife and Cindy got together. What happened then, Dorothy?
Well, we decided we needed a house all on one floor with a washer and dryer and so on. And so John said he would build the house, so found some property at the end of East Grant Street on Kelly Street. And we started it in April of 96 and moved in August of 96. And we are still enjoying our new house. And it is now 1999. And Steve and Joyce have just bought a house right across the street from us. So they're living close now, too.
Okay, so
Andy is living in High Point, North Carolina. Dan is living out in Wesleyan Village, just off in Campground Road.
I love that song.
that was a red elk, Bob says. Good. Today is April 9th, Tuesday, and Hamilton's construction is here. For the footings for the house and for the garage, and they're putting up the wall forms. Wall forms for the basement. McKinney. On the south side, looking north. Hey, Terry. Okay, this is 5:24 on Friday. They poured this afternoon. In spite of the light rain and stuff we had, that didn't stop them. 7 days. It's April 14th. Anchor the sill plates. Okay, today is Monday or Wednesday, the 17th. John was here last night, put in.
Now make it 8 foot. Make it 8 foot, about 6 inches past this corner.
Doing the plumbing and what else?
Plumbing and heating.
Plumbing and heating, huh?
Yep, and then Tom will be doing electrical in the building.
And what's your name?
You know,
I forgot it.
George Teeter.
Yeah. Okay, George. Got you on camera.
Yeah.
Oh, Chris. That's right. Hey, Mom. Yeah.
Yep.
I might say that the singer is Paul Shadley from Kalamazoo, and he sang at our wedding 50 years ago. And the piano player is Harlan Nye, who I've been associated with for about 4 or 5 years now. In the music line.
Can I continue on now?
Oh, yes.
Would you join your right hands, please? Don, repeat after me. I, Don, take thee, Dorothy,
I, Don, take thee, Dorothy,
to be my wedded wife.
to be my wedded wife.
You go in there. To have and to hold
To have and to hold
from this time forth,
from this time forth,
for better, for worse,
for better or for worse,
for richer, for poor,
for richer, for poorer,
in health and in sickness,
in health and in sickness,
to love and to cherish,
to love and to cherish,
till death do us part,
till death do us part,
according to God's holy ordinance.
according to God's holy ordinance.
And to this,
And to this,
I pledge thee my love.
I pledge thee my love.
Dorothy, will you repeat after me? I, Dorothy, take thee, Don,
I, Dorothy, take thee, Don,
to be my wedded husband,
to be my wedded husband,
to have and to hold
to have and to hold
from this time forth,
from this time forth,
for better, for worse,
for better, for worse,
for richer, for poor,
for richer, for poor,
in health and in sickness,
in health and in sickness,
to love and to cherish,
to love and to cherish,
till death do us part,
till death do us part,
according to God's holy ordinance.
according to God's holy ordinance.
And to this,
And to this,
I pledge thee my love.
I pledge thee.
You are wearing the rings that up to 50 years ago you shared with each other. Gold lasts. Sometimes lives do not, but God has blessed you with 50 years of marriage, and as you wear these rings for the next 50 years, remember that it's an endless circle of your abiding love, those rings that you wear. Whom God has joined together, let no man or woman put asunder. For as much as you, Don, and you, Dorothy, have covenant together in holy wedlock before God, and have pledged your love each to the other, and declared the same by the giving and receiving of rings, and by joining hands, I now pronounce you husband and wife, in the name of the Father, the Son, and the Holy Spirit. Amen. Let's pray one more time before you. Don't hurry, don't hurry. That's why you have 5 children today, okay? Father, we thank you for this time together. And all the friends and family that are being able to come, we pray you bless the food today as we partake together and fellowship together. Thank you for Mom and Dad that you've given them 50 years together. Thank you for your hand being upon them in the days and years ahead. In Jesus' name, we pray. Amen. Don, you may kiss your bride. Now for the second time anywhere, Mr. and Mrs. Don C. Reid.
I'd like to say that I have my three bridesmaids here today that I had. This is my sister Wanda Colston from Texas. This is Dorothy Cappan and Vonda Cappan. They married brothers. And we went to school together. So, but Don has his brother and our two sons because they are
All the men died.
all of them. And our two daughters.
I was adopted, but I'm the other child. That's true. If you haven't got something to eat yet, I hope you will, and hopefully
Ready? Okay, you guys, look at me. Okay, now you can feed each other. Go ahead and put it on.
Don't smush it in his face.
Is that a piece that's big enough to get in your mouth?
I don't want anybody choking to death on the tree. What? Anybody choking to death on a big chunk.
She needs a napkin.
Okay, Dad, you gotta give Mom some.
She wants some under his chin. Mom, there's a little bit right under Dad.
A little piece.
Wait till he gets his chin up. Whoops, he dropped it.
Getting ready to disassemble here.
He's 6'4",
1 See, we left Saturday morning, Saturday noon. We got out on Monday. We started
Uh-oh. Angie won't.
Dorothy, move in by Grandpa a little more. Turn in towards Grandpa.
No, no,
Just
no.
turn next to Angie. Yeah, Angie won't bite. Scoot it in.
Everybody look
By
this way.
Angie.
See
You're
ya.
ways away from her.
Everybody smile. One more. Smile again. Did somebody take some with Mom's camera?
Where's Mom's camera?
Here's my camera. Liam, keep smiling. Liam, say cheese.
Is there a wide